Back now to that extended pause on the Trump administration's efforts to dismantle USAID. Today's decision temporarily reinstates workers placed on paid leave.
Yeah, right now our digital investigative journalist Jordan Fischer joins us here on set. Jordan, you were in this court hearing today. So what exactly are these USAID workers asking for at this point?
Yeah, well, Lorenzo, I think broadly they would like a judge to say that the Trump administration's efforts to dismantle USAID are unconstitutional without the consent of Congress, which established it. But specifically in this hearing, what they want is a continued stay on the administration putting thousands of workers on administrative leave, paid administrative leave, which would remove their access to their email, to certain government security alerts, their diplomatic status at embassies around the world if they happen to be there. They say that puts many foreign service workers stationed overseas at potential grave risk.
Yeah.
So the judge is extending this temporary hold, but not doing anything in the long term. What are his concerns? Why not do something for the long term?
What those plaintiffs are asking for that I mentioned, it's called a preliminary injunction. It's a long-term order that says the government can't do something, essentially. And to issue it a PI, in legal terms, the judge has to find that these plaintiffs are suffering irreparable harm. And there's a lot of case law that says, you know, even losing your job or not getting paid isn't irreparable because eventually a judge can order you to get paid back. Now, on the flip side, his concern, which he made clear repeatedly today, is that those workers I mentioned who are stationed overseas, potentially in high-risk areas, including at least one USAID agent or officer who submitted a declaration about having to evacuate on an emergency basis from the DRC, are potentially at serious security concerns if he doesn't either get the government to commit to protecting them or keep this stay in place.
Yeah, we keep hearing about, I'm thinking of these workers, your livelihood is sort of in the balance here, hangs in the balance. The judges keep issuing these stays. So what's the bigger picture here? Is this abnormal?
Right. Well, I think any time the president tries to stop dollars and cents from going somewhere or move them somewhere else via the power of his pen, you're going to see lawsuits. Think of the Biden administration's attempts to cancel student loan debt, right? So in a sense, it's not abnormal. What is abnormal is the monsoon of lawsuits that we've seen, and all in an emergency posture over the last few weeks. And that's really to blame for the administration's bull in a china shop, pace that they've taken at this, coming in, cutting whole agencies, purporting to put thousands of people on leave. And judges keep saying, there are rules about how to do this. Attorneys for the Department of Justice, which is tasked with defending the administration, keep having to come into court with no answers for judges' questions. So all judges hear is one side saying we're being hurt today, and the government saying we're going to have to get back to you on that. And by the way, the reason they don't have some of those answers is that the government has put the people with the answers on leave, right? Yeah. So it's a sort of continuous cycle where one after another judges keep having to do these emergency orders while they find out what's really going on.
I know you're talking about USAID, but the bigger, broader question is, judges can stay, they can freeze, but ultimately, is this going to eventually go forward?
Right. I think in a lot of these cases, the Trump administration will eventually be able to do what they want to do. Secretary of State Marco Rubio in this USAID case, who is also the acting administrator of USAID, has already alerted Congress formally earlier this month that they want to do this reorganization. That's what the statute requires. The president has broad, essentially unique authority over foreign affairs, and so he can do these sorts of things. The problem is that there are statutes that say you have to give a certain amount of notice, you have to get Congress's approval for some of this stuff. In some cases, especially with these USAID contracts, you can't unilaterally cancel spending. These organizations are going to sue to get the money they were promised. But long term, if the president wants to dismantle a federal agency in the executive branch, he will probably succeed.
Yeah. This is just rushed the way it's happening right now.
Right,
that's the big concern.
It may not be a matter of if, it's when.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Jordan Fischer, we know you'll keep tracking it for us. Thank you.
All right, we're looking ahead to tomorrow.